Hello, everyone. Mackie here, and welcome back to Midseason Madness 2026. And now, after all the play-ins, phony wars, we are about to get ready for the real MSI to begin. Welcome, everybody, to the MSI bracket stage, which will commence in about 12 hours from now at the time of recording, of course. So, for all the gripes I have with the bracket, and I've already did my magnum opus about it. I think every single League of Legends community have that magnum opus, including mine, from last night into this morning. I think we get ourselves a really decent bracket to look forward to. And of course, the play-ins pick'ems was a disaster. Common Corp let me down, but let's just see if we can do well with our bracket play pick'ems for this tournament. Now, in case maybe people don't know, I will have to pick the winner, and then we move on from there. And then after that, that's it. Now, the picks that I made will be different from the previews that I'm going to do in my shorts pertaining to my predictions for tonight's matches or for the rest of the matches. So there's going to be a little bit different from my pick'ems. Okay? Right. So, without further ado, it is time for me to pick who is going to win the midseason invitational. And I'm going to start with a very big one. BLG versus T1. I think this is a tricky matchup for me. I think, yes, BLG are the number one team in the world, but T1 is coming up with momentum, and they have been known to be the LPL slayers, as pertain from last split. In fact, the history of T1 is pretty much like they are the LPL kryptonite. I think the battle between Doran and Bin's gonna be absolutely fascinating. I think, Knight is gonna absolutely make Faker look all of his 30 plus years. I think he's gonna stump him in the mid lane, of course. The ball lane is gonna be really interesting though. Pays have been looking great in play-ins, but play-ins and bracket stage is gonna be a little bit different. I think it's gonna be a really close series. I think it's gonna be a really close series. Oh, this is why I told this. Listen, this is why I told everybody last night that this bracket stage does not make sense because BLG champions should not get T1. In fact, T1 should be playing different else. But man, you're putting me in a tricky situation. You're putting me in a tricky situation. Um, I have to go with the best team in the world right now. I'm still gonna pick BLG to win. I think it's gonna be a close series. I think it'll be 3-2, and I think BLG is going to win. Onwards to the second matchup, Lion versus Furia. I think I'm going with Lion here. I know the slow kind of play for Lion is not the most eye pleasing to many people's eyes, and I think that might going to hurt, especially against BLG later on. But I think against Furia, I think that might gonna help them. Now, I think Furia is going to be a tricky team. Many people are going to look at Furia, and I think Psychopathic Poro said it best in his preview, that I think Furia is going to be a team that you cannot underestimate under any circumstances. Yes, this team may not be as talented as your Lions of the world and your BLGs of the world, but their playstyle is going to be absolutely great. I like their jungler, I like the top lane, I like their bot lane really well. Tatsu is pretty much my favorite player, of course. I think he's going to give Inspired a run for his money. I think Furia could get a game out of them and maybe make it a close series and maybe making every North American fan feel a little shivered, but I think Lion will come through in the end. Hunter Life versus Team Secret Wells, this is not even a contest. I know Team Secret Wells did fine in the LCP and they did okay-ish in first stand, but I think the difference between LCP and the international competition is going to be really much night and day. And plus, you're facing off against probably the best team in the world next to BLG, and I think it's not gonna be a close contest. It just cannot be a close contest. The mid lane between yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. Yeah, it's gonna be a quick 3-0. It's gonna be a quick 3-0. And now G2 for the top esports. Now you're asking myself, Akeem, I think top esports might win. There is a chance that top esports might win. However, international top esports is something that I cannot even trust at any point. It's like every time I must be thinking, ooh, top esports international competition, they might be favorites, and I just can't. I just can't. Especially when they face off against G2, who, by the way, beat top esports in 2024. And yeah, that was just an underwhelming team at the time. So the question is to myself is that can G2 esports do it again? I think they can. I think the reason why G2 are so much better than them is because of the diversity of the draft in, of course, and also the early game pressure is going to be really, really heavily favored on G2. I think both teams are going to go straight into the early game. Their early game is going to be the real big difference, of course. And I think if Skumon can actually outplay Tien, then I think G2 might have a chance. I think the only thing that I'm going to issue with G2 is that they tend to throw early leads a lot. And you cannot do it against a top esports team or any other quality team, especially against Honor Life Esports or something. So I think I'm going to go with some European pride and give G2 esports the victory over top esports in a closest series, 3-2 in favor of G2, and we move from there. Now I have to the rain is falling, of course, and now I have to close the window, and then of course I'll come back with more of the pick'ems. All right, I'm back. Now it is time for me to go through the next round. I'm gonna go to the losers bracket, but I'm gonna go with the next round. I think BLG is gonna I'll be lying. Their early game is gonna be really, really too strong for Lion to handle. I mean, their slow pace of game is not strong enough to beat this BLG team. This BLG team is fast and loose and dominating. I think they're good into. I think Honor Life Esports versus G2 is a really good toss up. I think you can say that G2 have been the Korean killers, beating two LCK teams in first stand, and yeah, that's impressive. Of course, really impressive. But that was a Gen G team. It kind of feels like, what the hell, Gen G? And VRX is just like debuting and just having a fun time, I guess. So listen, I cannot complain what G2 did in first stand. That's incredible, but this is a whole different competition. This is the best team in all of LCK and probably the world right now, second best to BLG. And that's a really, really tough ask. The question is, can they do it again against Hot Life Esports? And the answer to that question is it's a no for me, dog. It's an absolute no for me. I got Hot Life Esports beating G2, maybe a 3-1 series. But I don't know. G2 might prove me wrong. G2 might prove me wrong. To the lower bracket, I got T1 eliminating Furia. I think this is going to be the end of the road for them. I think it is what it is. And then, of course, I got Top Esports beating Team Secret Wells. This is going to be easy. And now it leads us to a really intriguing matchup between G2 T1, Lion versus Top Esports. I'm going to go with Top Esports again. And I think G2 versus T1 is going to be a really interesting matchup. I think T1's shakiness could be on full display. G2 could be aggressive. I mean, they have the capabilities of doing that. And if G2 managed to beat the best team in all of League of Legends of all time with the best player in the world, I think they might do it. But I just can't. I think G2 is going to be eliminated. I think they're going to be fine, but I think top 6 is going to be where they go. We're going to start with the upper bracket between our game that pretty much everybody's waiting for. Zeka versus Knight, BLG versus Honda Life Esports. This is probably going to be probably played once or twice. It depends on how this matchup will go. I think it's going to be a 5-game series. I think it's going to be a 5-game series, the likes of which it's going to be the match of the season of the year at this point. And the way these two teams have been playing, the way these two teams have been aggressive, they are both aggressive, both credible players, both are capable of having oopsies sometimes, but also incredible of credible play. This is going to be a really hard series to call. I think Honor Life edge it. I think Honor Life Esports will edge it out. Close one, but I think it'll edge it out. T1 versus Top Esports. As I said, I cannot chart Top Esports by life. That leaves us with a top 3 between BLG, T1, and Honor Life Esports. This is a tricky one. As much as I really, really want T1 to be in another finals, I just can't for the life of me. Because I think BLG are just way better than T1 in many facets, of course. I think this is, of course, the rematch of the first series that I did. And I think you can say that if BLG beat them once, I think they have a chance to beat them again. However, I think the T1 Magic is just too strong in international competitions. I think they're too strong in international competitions. I think when it matters the most, the clutchness, the brilliantness of this team, and of course the skill is going to be really much on display. And BLG has a tendency to really not good at late game. T1, it doesn't matter the margin, it doesn't matter the deficit, can always find a way. And I did consider that T1 has done a lot to the LPL. I'm going to go with T1. And that leaves us another all LCK final between Honda Life Esports and T1. Now, as for who wins, I think that's going to be a really tricky one. Yes, Honda Life Esports might go as the favorites, dominating teams and all kind of stuff. But I think T1 has the clutchness, the factor, the losers bracket mentality they can have. It's going to be a really tricky one. It's going to be a really tricky one. As much as I really love T1 to win another MSI, to give Faker one more MSI before he fades into the sunset, I just can't. I'm going with Honda Life Esports to win MSI 2026, to become the champion. And if that happens, I know BLG's Golden Road will lose, but it set up a pretty interesting conversation between Honda Life and BLG to see who's the best team in the world going into Worlds. Now, if BLG were to win this whole thing, fine. I will not be a coward. But if BLG were to win MSI, it will be like, oh, BLGs have all the pressure in the world to win Worlds because they might be the first Chinese team to do it in a long time since RNG trying to do it in 2018, and it will be so much pressure on these players. But if Honda Life Esports were to win, it might set up a really good conversation between them and BLG being the best in the world. And maybe, this is also going to bring T1 into the conversation because, of course, once again, another dominant loser bracket run, dominate every single team, and of course, make it to the finals again. It will give T1 fans the ramp up to saying, hey, we might have a chance to go to Worlds again if we keep doing the same thing. So this MSI tournament is going to be a really fascinating combo. Either way, we either get BLG dominate the Golden Road and do well, or Honda Life Esports will win, and it will be a battle between the two best teams going into Worlds. Or maybe I could pick T1. I could have just changed the pick of T1, and then it'll be like a really interesting story of, once again, a team that kind of looks shaky in the early going, but once they ramp up, they are the team to beat and being clutch as F. So this is going to be fascinating, of course, for the next couple of days. Anyways, that's my pick'ems for the mid-season invitation. If you want, I will link the description. I will link the website down below to see if you can fill out the bracket. We are, by the way, 12 hours at the time of recording to fill in your bracket so you can get cool prizes and emotes. Sadly, no perfect bracket for me, but you're going to get cool prizes, emotes, all the kind of stuff. It's great. It's absolutely great. And yeah, anyways, thank you all for watching. Enjoy the matches tonight and the next couple of days. And I will see you all next time. And do not forget, the prediction is going to be on the shorts. Keep checking your feeds to make sure you get what you needed. Drink some water. Keep the pests neutered. Help the population grow. Grow some trees. Love yourself and love your parents and all that stuff. And enjoy freedom and independence on the July 4th weekend. And I will see you all next time.